Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. So KAZIM has been out on the VN server since yesterday, so we're going to go through his full skill description in this video, and he'll be coming to global server at the upcoming reset. So of course this is important information that we need to break down. He's an A-level mauler marksman, as you guys were probably already aware. So before we get into his entire skill description, I want to give you a summary of KAZIM in case you are not up to date. So KAZIM is looking to be potentially an AFK stage hero or PvP related hero. Almost no chance of Dream Realm, and the reason for that is he has knockups in his kit, and he has an ability to extend the duration when any one of your allies inflicts a knockup onto the enemies. Apart from this, he begins a battle untargetable, soaring in the sky, and he will be granting your entire allies a haste buff. However, the question is this impactful enough? The problem is we are lacking knock-up heroes really in the game. For AFK stages, there is Zandrock, but for PvP, they're just kind of a lack of options currently. So that's really going to be the debate about KAZIM, whether he would be worth it or not. Okay, so leading off with his ultimate, Gale Barrage, it begins with 600 initial energy. Now passive, when an enemy hero is knocked into the air, KAZIM will manipulate the air current to keep them airborne for 1 extra second, and then fire 2 arrows at them, dealing this damage. The active is KAZIM will fire a powerful volley of arrows at the arc-shaped area with the most enemies. It will be dealing up to 400% attack multiplier and knocking all prey within range into the air for 0.5 seconds, and probably he's going to extend that to 1.5 seconds if it works on his own cast as well. And then after that, he keeps firing arrows in succession for 3 seconds, dealing 200% attack damage per volley, and the number of volleys being fired here will be dependent on his attack speed. So he is an attack speed scaler. Okay, so let's move on to the next skill, the Soaring Falcon. This is the bread and butter really about KAZIM. A passive, when a battle starts, KAZIM will take to the air and start soaring for 10 seconds. So first 10 seconds, you're fighting basically a 4v5. However, while soaring, KAZIM is invincible. He cannot be targeted. When an enemy hero is knocked into the air, KAZIM will dive at them, dealing pretty decent damage, 500%, and marking them as prey. So this feeds into his ultimate. If you guys notice here, very subtle, he will knock all prey within range into the air for 0.5 seconds. Now, the way that he marks an enemy as prey is when they actually are knocked into the air. Then KAZIM will dive at them while he's soaring, and then he will mark that hero as prey. When KAZIM stops soaring, he draws his bow and fires a powerful arrow at each prey in sequence, dealing 400% attack multiplier and stunning them for 3 seconds. So pretty long stun duration, pretty high again attack multiplier here, and it will be landing on the prey. So definitely already, as you can see, if you want to use KAZIM, you will want to have other forms of knock-up on your team, ideally knocking up all of the enemies so that KAZIM is able to mark them all as prey and get the value out of this. But the problem is the lack of knock-up options, really. Now, Stormy Domination. When a battle starts, KAZIM creates a wind field that covers the entire battlefield. Allies inside the wind field gain 30 haste, so 30 haste buff to all allies while he is soaring in the sky. And this is a 9-second cooldown, and every time KAZIM marks an enemy as prey, the wind field will grant 10 extra haste to allies within up to 3 stacks. So again, if you can knock up enemies, 1 or 2 enemies, or even up to 3, you can get up to a 60 haste buff to all of your allies. However, when KAZIM stops soaring, he absorbs the power of the wind field, gaining double the haste bonus for 15 seconds. So this is kind of the important thing. For the initial 10 seconds, he's buffing your team. But then after 10 seconds and he comes on to battle, he's going to absorb all of those buffs and actually gain double the haste bonus. So it is a short-lived buff for your allies, but maybe that could change the tides of a fight. At least it would have to if it were to warrant running him on your team, because other than that, you are basically fighting a 4v5. But really, the problem is I don't see how you're going to knock up multiple enemy heroes and really stack this up quickly. It's going to probably be a bit of, like if you're talking about Zandrock, Zandrock he needs his ultimate before he can knock up enemies. And by that time, KAZIM has probably returned back to the earth. So yeah, that's the issue. Active of this is KAZIM will fire a Gale charge arrow toward the area with the most enemies, dealing damage to enemies in its path and knocking them into the air for 0.5 seconds. So again, he has a form of knockup in his own kit, which he will synergize with himself, which is going to prolong the knockups by 1 second. Every time KAZIM marks an enemy as prey, this arrow's damage and range are permanently increased by 20% up to 3 stacks. So again, his damage and also range of this skill can be boosted up to 60% when you maximally stack it by getting praise. However, this active is not going to mark any target as prey. as far as what the description is. You need to, the way to mark target as prey is you need to knock them up while he is soaring in the air so he can dive down and mark them, right? So far, that's kind of the only way. The next up, Hero Focus, increase attack speed by 33 during battle, which has synergy with his ultimate, which will fire off more volleys. Okay. And now, Raptor's Vigil, exclusive skill. KAZIM's normal attack deals 25% more damage and lock onto all enemies marked as prey, and this goes up to 35% normal damage boost for his normal attacks, which again will synergize with his attack speed, as well as the haste that he's going to be getting. All of those are going to increase his frequency of casting normal attacks. And they will lock on to all enemies marked as prey, which should mean that it will hit multiple enemies at the same time, each one of his normal attacks. So that's now pretty interesting. So if you could really stack him up with haste or attack speed and have this huge normal attack damage bonus, and then mark all enemies with prey, he's going to be firing out like a turret, hitting all enemies at the same time, and potentially actually functioning as a hyper carry for PvP. However, again, the problem is, how are you going to get all the enemies marked as prey? So, level 3. Every 6 normal attacks, KAZIM fires an enhanced arrow, knocking the target into the air for 0.25 seconds, which is more than enough for KAZIM because he's going to delay it by 1 second, right? He's going to cause an extra 1 second value out of this. And dealing true damage equal to 20% of the target's maximum health. The true damage cannot exceed KAZIM's 500% attack. So, there's going to be another big hit for PvP specifically, up to potentially 500% of his attack multiplier as damage, and 20% of the target's max HP as true damage. Every time KAZIM marks an enemy as prey, the number of normal attacks required to trigger this skill is reduced by 1 up to 3 stacks. So again, is all of his kit is funneling and centering around mark as many enemies as prey as possible. That is going to be absolutely essential for KAZIM. If you do not mark the required number, like at least a minimum of 3 for the 3 stacks, you're really going to be losing out on a lot of value from his kit. So you really want to get at least 3 enemies knocked up while KAZIM is still in the air so he can mark them as prey, and he can get the value out of his skills. The rivalry mode bonus, this is just PvP exclusive, of course. It's going to be increased attack speed and normal attack damage, stack up to 10 times, which has synergy with his kit, definitely. And then in rivalry mode, increases 20 attack speed, 8 defense penetration. Again, synergy with his kit for sure. Okay, finally, we have Enhanced Force. Now, this is an important skill of KAZIM, and really, it makes him a lot more usable, in my opinion. 2 seconds after KAZIM starts soaring, he manipulates air currents to knock the rearmost enemy into the air. But that's not all. The value of this is, it's going to mark one enemy target as prey, but then you're thinking, what if the enemy has Enlightening Spell? What if the enemy has Unaffected? What if there's a gunner combo in the back, and they're not going to be knocked up? Is KAZIM just going to be hard countered? No. Because see, only targets enemies who have not moved since the battle began, so it will be ranged enemies, and it excludes unaffected and steadfast targets, which to me this description sounds like it will just look through and say, okay, this enemy is unaffected, we're going to ignore it, we're going to look on to the next rearmost enemy, and basically almost always try to find a way of getting a value target. Unless the enemy is mostly a melee team, then of course they're going to move around during the battle. Ranged heroes though, however, they're going to remain stationary, right? And probably in most team comps, there is going to be one hero which is not unaffected or steadfast, which is remaining stationary, that he will be able to knock up and mark as prey, right? Because when he knocks him up while soaring, it's going to mark him as prey. So almost one guaranteed prey here. Whenever KAZIM marks an enemy as prey or an enemy hero is defeated, he permanently gains 20 attack speed and 200 energy. So again, you have value, ramping up his attack speed, which of course, if he has multiple enemies as prey, all of his normal attacks will lock on to all of those prey and deal bonus normal attack damage. 200 energy boost is allowing him to get an ultimate off faster, and the attack speed bonus can stack up to 5 times. And each time this happens, you're going to get the energy. Okay, so as you guys can see, his kit is very centered around getting prey for himself. And this is the fundamental flaw. In my opinion, the fundamental flaw with KAZIM is that he depends so heavily on getting prey for his own kit to get the maximum value. However, you could make the argument, just use him as a utility hero in like PvP, for example. Just get that haste buff for your team, even 30 haste, decent I guess. And then if you have any other form of knock-up, extend the duration, or just use his own knock-up. But I don't think that's impactful enough. Really, what it seems like to me for KAZIM is he's waiting for a better knock-up crowd-controlling hero to arrive into the game. And at that point, then I could definitely see KAZIM seeing a lot more value in PvP or even AFK stages. Because the problem in AFK stages is, well, yes, some people do use Zandrok, but like we said, Zandrok is going to take time to charge up his ultimate. Like, probably 10 seconds in, Now KAZIM's going to return back to the land, back to the earth. And Zandrock probably hasn't even casted ultimate yet. So how are you going to get that knock-up value, right? This is the major issue with KAZIM. There's just not enough meta knock-up heroes, and even out of those, they have delayed knockups. They're not usually instant, like, or within the first 10 seconds of battle. So I think there's a hero, KAZIM is a hero that could really get better, or could stay kind of mediocre depending on the future release of heroes, which makes it a bit of a risky investment. And honestly, right now, I think for AFK stages in PvP, I just do not think he's at all going to be near where we need him to be to actually be meta. And in which case, for majority of players, my verdict is that he should be a skip. And at the very least, you can wait on him. You can wait until there's any proven usage before recruiting him. But day one, treat him like a skip. That's my honest opinion. His only angle is AFK stages and PvP. Dreamrealm doesn't have an angle because he's about AoE damage, like locking onto multiple prey at the same time, and his volleys of arrows. He doesn't have HP loss damage or anything like that. So Dreamrealm is out of the question. It's AFK stages and PvP, and currently in the meta of knockup granting heroes, I just do not see him being good enough. And like I said, even though Zandrock is good for AFK stages, is Zandrock going to get off his ultimate in time before the end of the Soaring? And at that point, I don't think KAZIM marks up prey anymore. Because if you see it here, you see in the Soaring Falcon, when an enemy hero is knocked in the air, KAZIM dives at them. Obviously, when he's on the land, he can't dive at them. He's already on the land. Diving is from the air. So this is going to be, I don't think you're going to be able to mark prey after that initial 10 seconds. And then, yeah, that's going to be an issue. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts about KAZIM in the comment section down below. Of course, if you like the design, you can recruit him. If you're planning to recruit him and swap him to another A level later on the season, that's totally a viable strategy as well. Because probably there will be at least one desirable A level this season. No guarantees on that though, so like I still don't recommend it, but like at least that's a backup you have if you want to recruit him already. But anyway guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you're thinking about making a purchase in AFK Journey, please use my affiliate link for the official Farlight store. This is the best way you can support me and also gain 5% bonus dragon crystals on your purchase. My affiliate link is in the description of this video and a pinned comment, and you can actually bookmark this link in your browser, and whenever you're planning to make a purchase, just return to the bookmark link and make your purchase. It will support me and be greatly appreciated. So thanks for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video, and until then everyone, peace out for now.